All right, boys and girls. On your desk, you have your math packet for today. On your math packet, you should have your name. Point to your first name, please. Point to your last name, please. We want to make sure we always put our name on our work because we put so much effort, we don't want to lose it. And we also have our learning target for today. Can you read your target with me? I can persevere
to solve word problems using many strategies.
All right. What does that word persevere mean? We've been talking about that word a lot lately because we don't only persevere in math, we persevere in lots of things. What does it mean when we persevere? Chloe?
Keep trying and never get up.
You keep trying and you never give up? Does anybody have something they'd like to add to that? Sager?
Even when it's hard, you still don't give up.
Even when it's hard, you still don't give up. Hank?
Try it again if you didn't do it the first time.
If something goes wrong, you try it again, and you know that that's okay, that you have to try again. Anybody else have anything to add about persevering before we move on? So we need to remember that word as we are working on these word problems, because sometimes word problems, they can be hard, right? But we have learned lots of skills, adding and subtracting and understanding place value, the ones place, the tens place, the hundreds place. We've learned a lot of things that can help us to persevere to solve these word problems. All right, let's look on the board. We are going to brainstorm at your table some strategies that you have for solving word problems. Think about all those math things that we have been practicing this year and what strategies, what skills will help you to be able to solve the word problems. Would you please talk at your tables as many strategies as you guys can think of that you might use today when we're solving our word problems?
One of the strategy is thinking blocks and a brace math.
You might do expanded forms. You could do coins.
You could do a hundreds chart or an open number line. Sometimes you can use base 10 blocks.
Okay, you think Marcos?
But an efficient way is to bring out one of the cards Mrs. Glynn gave us, and you would just explain it.
Okay, we have to let Marcos we have a turn for Marcos, yeah. Okay, let's do this. We can do just base 10 blocks. Okay. We could also do 10 frames.
My grandpa told me that you can do the ones place first, and then you can count all the way up to you can so let's say if it was like 55 plus 51, then 5 plus 1 will equal 6. So then you put 6 in the ones place.
My mom taught me a way where it's
All right, can I have your attention in 3, 2, and 1. What was a strategy that someone at your table shared that you thought could be helpful, Sophia?
Base 10 blocks.
Base 10 blocks. We do a lot with base 10 blocks because in 2nd grade, it's very important for us to understand what those numbers mean. So we do a lot of base 10 things in class. Tell me another strategy you came up with, Marcos.
Brace map.
A brace map. And what have we been practicing using the brace map to do? Remember, our brace map looks like this. What have we been using the brace map to do, Giovanni?
organized.
We organize our information. It helps us to see what we know and what we have to figure out. Christian, what else did your group come up with?
Thinking blocks.
Thinking blocks, which was another way to do what, Christian?
Organize.
Thinking blocks was another way that we have practiced for organizing our information. So you can pick a way to organize your information that is the most helpful for you. What else have we used? Eric?
A picture.
Pictures. Different kinds of pictures will help us solve our word problems. I heard lots of good ideas. What else did your group come up with, Elizabeth?
Hundreds chart.
A hundreds chart. We've learned how to hop. If you hop up and down on a hundreds chart, how are you counting when you hop up and down on a hundreds chart? That's something that we've been practicing. It's a skill that will help us with our word problems. You hop up or you hop down? How are you counting? Sager?
Adding or subtracting.
You're adding or subtracting, but by how many? Jason?
10.
By 10. So if you hop up 10, you're subtracting 10. If you hop down 10, you'd be adding 10. How about if you move left and right, side to side? How does that change your counting? Lauren?
1.
Then you would be counting by ones. So by understanding how a hundreds chart works, you can use it to solve the word problems. What other strategies have we used? Liba?
Open number line.
Open number lines. Because then we can focus on just the numbers that we need.
Say fact families.
What else? Anaya?
Fact families?
Using our fact families. Sometimes understanding how adding and subtracting work together will help us solve our problem. Another strategy, Samuel?
10 frame.
10 frames. I'm going to put that in your pictures because that is a type of picture that you might use that keeps it organized and is easy to see. Chloe?
Friendly numbers.
Friendly numbers. Choosing the numbers that are easiest for you to work with to solve the problem. Anthony?
Tally mark.
Tally marks. I'm also going to set that over by our pictures because that's a type of picture. What else? Pink.
You can use your regular number line.
You could use a regular number line. Instead of an open number line, you might use a number line that has the numbers on it for you. And hop depending on what the problem tells you. Evelyn?
Number sentences.
And what kind of number sentence might you use?
You might use adding or subtracting.
You might use adding or subtracting number sentences. And you could actually solve the same, one person might solve a problem with an adding sentence, where another person might solve that same problem with a subtracting number sentence because we understand how fact families work. Any other strategies? Zoe? Coins. I'm going to set that over by our pictures too, because that's a type of picture you might use depending on the problem. Lauren?
Expanded form.
Expanded form. I'm going to set that over by friendly numbers because we learned that as we stretch our numbers out into expanded form, sometimes it makes it easier for those numbers, for us to add and subtract those numbers. So expanded form tends to be friendly for us. Kristen? Flow map. Flow map. And I'm going to set that over by our other organizing, because you can separate your work, the problem into steps. This is a lot of strategies that you have to choose from, isn't it? So as we're doing, and these are all things that we have practiced, and now you're going to use those skills to solve our word problems. Okay? So, I would like you to turn to the first page in your booklet. And you're going to see our first word problem. Now, before we worry about what that word problem says, we have also thought about what steps we take when we're solving a word problem. Who can tell me? We read the problem, we find the important information, and then what do we do with that information? Samuel?
Organize.
We organize it. Why do we organize the information? Molly?
It helps us, it tells us what we have to figure out.
It helps us show what we need to figure out, because it also tells us what we were given, right? And so if we know what we were given, we'll see what piece of information is missing, and that will help us pick a strategy that will get to that part. What do we do after we have our information all organized and set? Giovanni?
Strategy.
We pick a strategy. We think about all of the math skills that we have practiced, and we pick a strategy that we think will help us get us there. What do we need? We learned a big word for helping us choose a strategy that it will be just right. What's that word we've been practicing for what kind of strategy we want to think about? Sophia?
Efficient.
Efficient. And what does that big word efficient mean, Elizabeth?
Like, it means that it's not a very, very slow way. It's a fast way to do it.
It's a way that is not going to take us hours and hours to solve the problem. It's maybe the best way to solve that problem. What else do we need to know about efficient though? Just because it's quick doesn't make it efficient. It won't be efficient if what, Evelyn?
You have to make it good work.
It has to be good work. It has to be a strategy that is helpful in solving the problem. If you pick a strategy that doesn't work for the problem, it's not going to be very efficient because in the end you're not going to get to that solution. Once we've picked a strategy that we think is efficient and we've used it to solve the problem, what do we do next? Anaya? We pick another strategy. Why in the world would we pick another strategy to solve that problem that we already did? Eric?
Because if it's okay, you can make another one that the first one that you did a mistake.
Very good. It will help you to check your work and see if that first strategy was really helpful. Okay? So we kind of use those two strategies to see did they both kind of work the same way? Did they end up in the same place? Then we have a good idea that we're on the right track to solving that problem. All right, so we are on our first word problem. I would love to hear my super second grade readers read this problem with me. Can you do that?
Yes.
Ready?
Peter had 41 marbles. Mike gave Peter some more marbles. And then he had 65 in all. How many marbles did Mike give Peter?
Very good. So why don't we go ahead and out of your desk take out your math tool bags with all of those helpful things that you might choose to use when you get to strategies. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Very good. My green table's all set. The yellow table is all ready. All right. Now we want to look back into that problem and we want to find the important information that will help us to solve it. Would you take a second and with your pencil, can you underline a piece of information that you think is important? I'm noticing a few people are circling a piece of information. We've practiced circling the information that we think is what we're going to try to figure out using our strategies. All right, when you are all set, please set your pencil down and show me that you are ready. Thank you, Silver Table, for showing me such great, responsible, respectful choices. All right, my friends. What is one piece of information that you underline that you think will be helpful to know when we are solving our problem? Marcos?
Peter had 41 marbles.
I'm on the wrong problem. Peter had 41 marbles. So that tells us something that we need to know. What else? Did you underline anything else? Anthony?
Mike gave Peter some marbles.
Did you underline that or did you circle it?
Circle it.
Anthony circled some more marbles. Why would we circle that? Molly?
Because it didn't tell us a number.
It didn't give, very good, it didn't give us a number. Some doesn't tell us any information. So that word kind of triggers in my head. We're going to have to work on that to see what that means. Did you underline anything else? Samuel?
65 in all.
65 in all. Show me with your thumbs. Thumbs up. That's the stuff I found that was important. Thumbs to the side. I had other ideas. Sager, you had a different idea?
How many marbles did Mike give Peter?
Okay, so did you underline that or did you circle it?
I circled it.
Instead of circling some more marbles, Sager circled the question, how many marbles did Mike give Peter? Because that's what he needs to figure out. Now, we've been focusing on two main ways to organize your information. Who can tell me the two strategies we've used to organize what we've learned? Lauren?
Thinking blocks and brace maps.
Thinking blocks, and a brace map. Would you please, on your paper, yours looks just like mine, organize your information. What's important when we organize? We don't just want the numbers in there. We also want to do what, Liba?
Label.
We want to label it because we want to know what those numbers mean. It's important to understand what those numbers mean. So you're going to start by organizing your information, and then we'll stop there and we'll talk about how we did it, and then you'll go ahead to your strategies. But while you're waiting, you can start thinking about what strategy you think would be efficient. Would you go ahead and organize your information on your paper? I see lots of people using brace maps. I see lots of people using thinking blocks. You get to choose what makes sense to you. I see Eric adding his labels. Let's finish up and put our pencils down. And who would like to explain to us how they organized their information? What did you use and how did you put it in there? Jason?
I used a brace map.
Okay, so Jason started with a brace map. And then what did you do?
And then I wrote in all at outside.
He wrote in all on the outside. And why did you put the in all on the outside?
Because that's total.
That's going to be our total. Very good. Now what did you do?
In the inside, I wrote had.
So you wrote the word had. So that's, why do you need that label?
Because then we know how much he had before Mike gave him the rest.
That's how many he had at the beginning. He started with these, right? Where did you go from there?
And then inside, I wrote got.
Okay, so then you wrote the word got. And why did you write that word?
So then we know how much Peter got from Mike.
Then we know how many he got from Mike. Very good. Did anybody raise your hand? Did you also use a brace map? A lot of us did, right? Now your labels might be different words, but they should be the same idea. The outside should have something to do with the total or the in all. We want a label for what Peter started with. and a label for how many new ones he got from his friend Mike. Can somebody tell me where they put the numbers with these labels? Where would our numbers go? Christian?
I put 65 in all.
And why did you put the 65 with in all?
That's the total.
Because that is the total. Where did you put, what else did you do?
I put 41 in what Peter had.
What Peter had was 41. And it says Peter had 41 marbles. So we're just using the evidence from the word problem. Did you have anything else?
No.
No. What do we do? What about this spot? What about with what he got? Giovanni?
That's what we're trying to figure out. That's what we're trying to figure out.
That's what we're trying to figure out. So when we pick our strategies, we need to pick something that's going to help us figure out what Mike gave to Peter. Would you go ahead and on your paper pick 2 strategies to solve the problem? Go ahead and you can use anything in your school bags that will help you figure out the missing information. It might be easier if we take it out of the bag. I see some of us pulled out our hundreds charts. I see some of us pulled out our number lines. I also see some people who are making number sentences. I'm spying some base 10 blocks in our work. I'm seeing some friends that as they add information to their strategy, they're labeling those numbers so they know exactly what they were thinking. Can you tell me why you decided to put the blank here?
Because that was the answer that I was trying to figure out.
Okay, and so why did you use adding to figure that out?
So then we can see if it equals up to 65.
So that's what he
Started
with. These are the ones that he got from his friend, and that's the total. Is there a different number sentence that also would have worked? You used adding. Is there a different strategy you could have used that was a number sentence?
65 minus 41 equals 25.
You could have, yes. Used your fact families and what you know to put the 65 first into it. But either way, whatever makes sense. Just make sure that when it's time to share that you can explain it. I see an open number line going here. Can you tell me what you're doing?
I start at 65, and then I make 4 hops here, and then I make little hops, 1 hops, until I got to 41.
And how many hops was that in all? Are you still figuring that out? I like how you put the 4 dots here so you knew it was 4 hops in one big leap. Good job. So let's turn the page and look at a new problem. Let's go ahead, we'll read it together and we'll find our important information. But this time, you're going to organize it, do your strategies, and share with your table one of the strategies that you used, okay? So let's hear those wonderful second grade readers that we have. Ready?
Peter read 34 pages of his book before lunch. After lunch, he read some more. If Peter read 56 pages in all, how many pages did he read after lunch?
All right. Take just underline the information that you think we need to know to solve this problem. All right, my friends, tell me one thing that you underlined, information that was given to us that we need to know. Marcos.
Peter read 34 pages.
He read 34 pages. What else did you underline, Hank?
I underlined 56 pages in all.
56 pages in all. And did anybody circle something that stuck out and you said, this is what I need to try and figure out? Trevian, what did you circle? Some. He read some more. When we hear that word some in math, we think to ourselves, I can't count that. That doesn't tell me how many. Okay? So now what you're going to do, all 3 steps, organize and your 2 strategies. When you see that everyone at your table is ready, go around and share one of the strategies that you used that you found helpful. Okay? Go ahead and get started.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I missed your strategy. Can you share it again?
Let the base template. First I did is 34 plus 22 equals 56.
And when I came around the first time, you didn't know how many went in that blank. You didn't know it was 22. How did you figure out 22 went in there?
I use base template. I think I was counting. First I started at 34, then I counted up instead of 22. I think of a number that equals 56. So maybe it was 22.
Okay, so you had 34 and then you added along. And 34 plus 10 gave you... So that first 10 didn't give you 56. What's 10 more than 34? You said you were counting as you went, right? So you went 34, and 10 more than that gives you 44. And what was 10 more than that? Think about hopping on your number grid. What goes down from 44?
54.
And then one more is?
45.
You were at 54, so one more than 54 is?
55.
And that last one gives you?
56.
Very good.
I kind of noticed something.
What did you notice?
Like when you try to do a strategy, you can do another strategy to figure out your first strategy.
That's right. These strategies help each other.
I
Sager?
know why we do 2 strategies, because in the future, if we don't have the full if we forget the full strategy, we have another one to back us up. And the other thing is that so we know more ways to figure out the problem.
Very good. You want to have a lot of tools that you can pull out. All right, my friends, let's finish in 3, 2, and 1. Our voices should be down to 0 now. Would you please put all of your tools into your tool bag? Because in a second, we're going to be moving around the room and you want to make sure that you have everything that you need. I can tell that Trevian is ready to get moving. I see that Sophia and Christian and Chloe and Jason are ready to get moving. Nice work. The whole purple table is ready. Now while you're waiting, I want you to think about how you're doing with our learning target. Our learning target is to persevere to solve word problems using many strategies. You need to think about how you're doing with that. How do you feel with it? Do you feel like you've totally got it and you would be able to help somebody else if they need it? You're going to go in a minute and stand on the rug. If you feel like you're getting it most of the time, but sometimes you might need to ask someone a question just to make sure you're on the right track, you would be in kind of that middle space of our target. You're going to stand over to this side of the room. And if you're you still need help walking through it, maybe you get stuck on organizing the information or picking a good strategy, and you feel like working in a group with me would be the best place for you to be successful, you need to think of yourself out here. All of us are going to be working to get better from where we are. We can always, always improve. So what I want you to do, is it more important to be with someone that you want to work with or in a place that's going to meet your needs? What's the most important part when you're picking your spot? Evelyn?
That you would do is that you would pick the best thing you have to pick the right spot because you want to get better at it.
Very good. You will want to pick a spot that's going to help you get better. So, think in your head where you belong. If you're out here, you're going to bring all your things, your tool bags and your pencils and your work, and come sit with me. My friends in the middle, you're going to take all of your things and stand over on this side of the room. My friends who feel like they're really getting it are going to come and stand on this side of the room with all of your things. Would you please push in your chairs, go to where you belong,
I think I'm getting
Nice job remembering what this sound means. I would like you to put all of your things back into your tool bag. Please wait and listen. When you get to your desk, I want you to turn all the way to the last word problem and just read it. We're not going to solve this one today. We just want to read it because this is where we're going. This is the next step in word problems. I want to see if you, when you could read it, can see what's different about what we're going to do to solve this one than the ones we've been practicing. Okay? So you're going to clean all your things up and head to your seat and read this to yourself and see if you notice anything different about it. Okay? Go ahead and clean up and head back to your seats, please. So put everything down. Lock up your hands. And I'll read this one to you. As I read, see if you notice something that makes it a little different, a little bit trickier. Ready? There were 46 balls on the playground. 20 were soccer balls and 15 were basketballs. The rest were tennis balls. How many were tennis balls? Would you go ahead? What do you notice? What makes it different? Evelyn?
Instead of having like the two of like you already know, like for example, Sam had 15 toy cars and Tom had 10. And instead Kristen has 46
So 46 balls. It sounds like you're talking about the pieces of information. So as the 46 balls, tell me another piece of important information that you heard. Hank?
There was 15 soccer balls. 15 basketballs.
15 basketballs. Are we done with our important information?
No.
No, they gave us more. What else did they tell us, Molly?
The rest were tennis balls.
And do we know that, or is that what we're going to figure out? We're going to figure out how many were tennis balls. Are we out of information?
No.
No, we're still not out of information. What else do we know, Samuel?
20 were soccer balls.
20 were soccer balls. So instead of just having 2 parts making up a whole, we have 3 parts making up the whole, and we have to figure out what that missing piece is. It's going to take more than one step to solve these problems. So our next target will be to use our strategies to solve 2-step problems where we have to do 2 things to get to that answer. Sager?
The tricky part of it is that you have to add the 20 and the 15, and then you can see how much it's left, and then that much is how many tennis balls you left.
Okay, so he's saying that you would add 20 to 15 to start, and then whatever the difference is between that answer and the 46 balls in all would tell you that missing part. So you would do adding and subtracting in that problem to have to be able to come to the answer. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and put our things away.